The Indiana Fever just detonated a bomb on their own roster, and every WNBA fan is asking the same question. What on earth are they thinking? 4 key players gone. No trades, no compensation, no explanation, just released. And all of this, apparently, to protect Caitlin Clark. Now, on paper, that sounds noble. Your generational superstar deserves protection.
It's good to be back in Las Vegas.
It feels great to be back, but I'm gonna pivot to something else. Callie, is that cool?
Yes.
All right. On behalf of my teammates and every member of our union, I want to be clear. We remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately.
We still got things to attend to and things to get straightened out for next season because I do not like how things played out last year. I do not trust the front office and the moves they made. So Amber Cox, Kelly Kroshkoff.
But in reality, it looks like panic. It looks like a franchise that just hit the self-destruct button in broad daylight. The Fever front office is calling it a strategic reset. Fans are calling it what it really is, chaos. Because we're not talking about bench fillers or 10-day contracts here. We're talking about Cydney Colson, Odyssey Sims, Brianna Turner, and Lexie Hull. Players who bled for this team, fought through injuries, and helped drag Indiana out of irrelevance.
We know that our league is growing, and we believe that it's imperative that our CBA reflects the growth that we've experienced in the league, and that players should be seeing part of those earnings. And so I am excited to be back here, but unfortunately there are more pressing things going on with our league.
Which begs the question, what are the four players that the Indiana Fever should core to make sure that no team can touch them heading into the expansion draft? Remember, you just lose these players straight up. You don't get anything back for the players. They're gone. We didn't get anything for Temi, did we? No, exactly.
So the question becomes, did the Fever just save their future, or did they accidentally sabotage it? Because when you're building around Caitlin Clark, the face of the franchise, the WNBA's biggest draw, and the most valuable player off the court, every decision matters. Every roster cut sends a message. And right now, that message feels like confusion.
Stephanie White, listen to me. Listen to KTV. Listen to us because we know what's best. Clearly, y'all don't because y'all went and got Natasha Howard and all type DeWanna Bonner, all types of stuff. Y'all need to listen to us. We know how to build this thing around Caitlin Clark. Last time I gave you the 7 players the Indiana Fever needed to let go to continue to build this thing up around Caitlin Clark. That is the job here. Get the proper pieces around Caitlin Clark. Now,
fans are stunned, analysts are baffled, even rival teams are circling like sharks, ready to poach what's left. But here's the truth, this move wasn't random. There's a strategy behind the chaos, a risky one, and it all ties back to one goal: keep Caitlin Clark safe and loyal before this team collapses under its own pressure. So today, we're breaking it all down. Who got released, why it happened, and what this says about the Fever's future in the middle of the wildest offseason in WNBA history.
We have to find the 6 players we are going to protect to continue to build this team around Caitlin Clark. We got to pick 6 players to protect from this expansion draft. We can't have these teams coming in the expansion draft plucking our goodies. We already let the Golden State Valkyries take Timmy Fag-Benley when we should have protected and kept her. Y'all dropped the ball on that one. Straight up dropped the ball on that one.
Because if Indiana just sacrificed their depth, leadership, and chemistry, all to protect one player, they better pray it works. You're watching Her Hoops, where we cut through the noise and tell the truth about the W. Let's get into it. To really understand how we got here, we need to rewind back to when the Indiana Fever were finally starting to figure it out. Last season wasn't supposed to be a fairy tale. Caitlin Clark went down injured, the media hype cooled off, and everyone, and I mean everyone, thought the Fever were finished.
So hey, listen to us. We know what's best. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. First and foremost, this is obvious. There's been a lot of malpractice in the Indiana Fever front office. I don't trust y'all. I think you guys are liars. Y'all trying to use Kayla. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't believe y'all know how to build the team up around Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White, listen to me because it's clear that you're going to be here for a while.
The team's calling it cap space management. But anyone who's followed this franchise for more than 5 minutes knows this isn't about money. The Fever have plenty of that. This is about control, about reshaping the team around one singular mission: protect Caitlin Clark and keep her happy. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Indiana knows what happens when you fail to build around a superstar. You lose them. You lose your spark. You lose your fan base. And with the WNBA's CBA negotiations freezing free agency, the Fever couldn't afford to wait. So they acted fast, maybe too fast. These 4 players, Colson, Sims, Turner, and Hall, are now unrestricted free agents headed to Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, the Offseason league in Nashville. A league where players rotate weekly, rack up points, and showcase their talent for whoever's watching. It's a great gig, but it's also a red flag for Indiana. Because once those contracts open up in February, every one of those players could walk permanently. So while the Fever are trying to play chess, it looks a lot like checkers. They say they're making space for the future, but they might have just given away the very depth that made them competitive in the first place. And if you think fans are overreacting, just wait until you see how deep this problem goes. Let's break this down piece by piece, because the Fever's decisions might look random, but there's a pattern hiding underneath. Step 1. Roster reset. Indiana released 4 players, all rotational, all essential to the chemistry that kept them alive last season. Cydney Colson brought leadership. Odyssey Sims brought intensity. Brianna Turner gave them interior strength. Lexie Hull added energy and spacing. Losing all 4 at once? That's not trimming fat, that's cutting muscle. Step 2. The justification. The official line from the front office: strategic adjustments before the expansion draft. Translation: they're trying to secure their core, Clark, Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, while avoiding losing someone valuable for nothing when the new teams join the league. Sounds smart on paper, until you realize that the Fever don't have a deep enough roster to afford those losses in the first place. Protecting your core doesn't work when your supporting cast disappears. Step 3. The free agency freeze. Here's where it gets messy. The ongoing CBA negotiations have frozen all official transactions. No trades, no extensions, no signings. Meaning, the Fever can't re-sign these players even if they wanted to. They've essentially placed themselves in limbo. So, right now, Indiana has 4 empty roster spots, a frustrated fan base, and 0 clarity on who's actually coming back. Step 4. The reality check. Caitlin Clark is recovering from injury. Aaliyah Boston is carrying the weight of the paint. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the most consistent scorers in the league, is in trade rumors. And the coach, Stephanie White, is trying to prep a rotation that might not even exist in 2 months. If this sounds like a rebuild, that's because it is. Just one they don't want to admit publicly. Because when a franchise claims to be building around a superstar, but keeps clearing out her teammates, what they're really saying is, we're not sure what to do next. This isn't strategic alignment. It's panic disguised as planning. And if Indiana doesn't turn this chaos into something concrete soon, Caitlin Clark might not just be the center of the rebuild. She might be the reason it all collapses. Here's where the cracks start to show, not just in the roster, but in the logic behind Indiana's entire offseason plan. Because if this is about protecting Caitlin Clark, then why does it look like they're leaving her more exposed than ever? Think about it. Clark took a beating last season, physically and mentally. She was the most targeted player in the league, constantly double-teamed, body-checked, and baited. And the one thing that kept her afloat was having veterans around who could absorb that chaos. Odyssey Sims set the tone. Brianna Turner handled the dirty work inside. Even Colson, with her voice and experience, kept the locker room calm. Now, all that's gone. And the Fever's answer? Silence. Not one official statement, not one reassuring quote from the GM. Nothing. Fans are furious, and rightfully so. They've seen this pattern before. A promising season followed by head-scratching decisions that reset all progress. Indiana said they wanted to build youth and longevity. But here's the contradiction. Youth doesn't win championships. Balance does, and the Fever just destroyed theirs. The contradiction is painful. The Fever want stability, but they keep creating chaos. They want to protect their superstar, but they're removing her protection. Meanwhile, the rest of the league, Aces, Liberty, Wings, they're loading up. They're re-signing veterans, locking in shooters, stacking rotations. Indiana's the only team still spinning its wheels. And if that doesn't change soon, this whole Caitlin Clark era might end before it truly begins. Because the more the Fever try to control the narrative, the more it looks like they've lost control of the franchise. Let's dig into what's really happening beneath the surface, because this isn't just about 4 contracts expiring. It's about what those moves represent for Indiana's future, and for Caitlin Clark's trust in this organization. Start with the numbers. The Fever have one of the largest cap spaces in the WNBA. Money isn't the issue. They could have easily restructured short-term deals, offered veteran minimums, or secured player options to maintain stability. But they didn't. Instead, they let 4 valuable assets drift into free agency. At a time when the CBA freeze means they can't even negotiate replacements. Translation? Indiana's not just losing players, they're losing time. Every day that passes without clarity, rival teams are preparing. Dallas, New York, Vegas, they're already setting their free agency boards. They know who's available, who's loyal, and who's vulnerable. The Fever? They're waiting, stuck in contractual limbo. And in that silence, something dangerous starts to grow. Doubt. Inside the locker room, players notice these things. When management doesn't communicate, it sends a message. You're replaceable. That's a problem when your franchise revolves around young stars like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, both of whom are watching this circus unfold in real time. Clark's already proven she's not afraid of pressure. She's used to scrutiny, criticism, and expectation. But what she can't overcome is bad infrastructure. You can't outshoot a broken system. You can't pass your way out of poor management. And if Indiana keeps pretending they can patch holes with slogans and press releases, they'll lose her. Maybe not this season, maybe not next, but eventually. Because here's what we've learned from sports history. Stars stay when they believe in the vision, when they see purpose, loyalty, and consistency. Let's step back for a second. Because what's happening with the Fever isn't just about one team. It's a reflection of the entire WNBA's growing pains. See, when Caitlin Clark entered the league, everything changed. Ratings spiked, merchandise sold out, arenas that used to be half empty were suddenly packed. The Fever went from forgotten to front page, and that kind of transformation brings pressure. Not just to win games, but to prove the league can handle the spotlight. But Indiana's meltdown exposes a deeper problem. Too many teams still operate like small market experiments instead of professional powerhouses. They talk about growth and vision, but they make decisions based on fear, not foresight. Right now, the WNBA is standing at a crossroads. Expansion is coming. Media attention is higher than ever. Stars like A'ja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and Caitlin Clark have turned the league into a brand. But brand power only matters if franchises are stable. If they're not, that hype turns into embarrassment, fast. And Indiana's front office just gave critics ammunition. 4 key players released. No communication, no plan. It looks unprofessional, and it feeds the narrative that the WNBA isn't ready for the next level of scrutiny. Meanwhile, fans, especially new ones brought in by Caitlin Clark's college-to-pro transition, are learning that loyalty in this league can be fragile. The same fans who packed Fever games last season are now watching headlines that read like a slow-motion implosion. That's not just bad for Indiana, it's bad for everyone. Because the WNBA's success depends on consistent storylines, rivalries, continuity, legacies. Those are what build sports culture. When teams hit reset every off-season, that momentum disappears. The Fever should be leading the charge, showing what a modern, thriving franchise looks like. Instead, they're showing what happens when hype outpaces leadership. And that's why this moment matters. Because if Indiana can't stabilize around its brightest star, the entire league risks losing one of its biggest cultural catalysts. The message is clear. The WNBA's growth can't just be about headlines. It has to be about infrastructure, stability, and commitment. Because right now, the Fever aren't just risking a season. They're risking the credibility of the league's biggest story. So here, letting 4 core contributors walk. Cydney Colson, Odyssey Sims, Brianna Turner, and Lexie Hull isn't just a roster decision. It's a signal to the locker room. It says, no one's safe. It says, we're not sure who we are yet, and that's dangerous, because great teams aren't built overnight. They're built through continuity, through belief, through culture. Meanwhile, the rest of the WNBA is moving full speed ahead. The Aces are stacking championships. The Liberty are locking in chemistry. The Wings are adding firepower. And Indiana, once again, is standing still, trying to convince fans it's all part of the plan. But fans aren't buying it anymore. Social media has turned into a war zone. Some say this is a rebuild. Others say it's incompetence. The truth? It might be both. Because if the Fever can't back this move up with action, with real signings, real upgrades, and real protection for Caitlin Clark, they're not just risking next season. They're risking their credibility. Clark isn't just another rookie. She's the heartbeat of this new WNBA era. Her presence alone brought in sponsors, networks, and fans who had never watched women's basketball before. But that wave won't last forever. You can't build a dynasty on jersey sales. You build it with strategy, with consistency, with the guts to commit to your stars instead of rearranging the deck every offseason. So here's the reality. Indiana has one offseason to prove they're serious, to prove that this isn't another cycle of hype and heartbreak. Because if they fail to surround Caitlin Clark with real support, then this so-called Caitlin Clark era might become the Caitlin Clark warning. And make no mistake, if she ever decides she's had enough, the Fever won't just lose a player, they'll lose their entire identity. So what do you think? Did the Fever just make the boldest move in WNBA free agency or the biggest blunder of the year? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you want the truth behind the headlines. And don't forget to subscribe, because here on Her Hoops, we don't do fluff, we do facts. Stay locked in. The next chapter of the WNBA drama is just getting started.